Hi, it's Stephanie, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a project that I saw on Nick the Booksmith's channel. I love her channel. So if you're into bookbinding and learning about old books and new books, you should check her out. I'll put her link in the description. But I too have a problem with my needle collection. I kind of just leave them in these plastic things or in any small container. I think this is from a chemistry set from the 60s. No, I wasn't around for the 60s, but I had a chemistry set from the 60s. So I kind of just leave them in this drawer in my carousel. But then when I go to grab them, I'm always stabbing myself, hurting myself. And I didn't want to do that anymore. So when she created this little needle book, I thought, oh, that's such a good idea. And I'm going to try and do it. Not being a professional bookbinder like she is, or even remotely good at sewing, I'm still going to do it. So I have some materials here, um, and they're just cheap. This is some cheap felt. I think it was 25 cents a sheet that I cut, and I will have measurements on my blog. And I decided that I was going to go with this green and this sand color. I also cut some paper because she uses paper in hers, which I thought was a great idea. My old needle book was fabric, and it still poked me through it. So the Tim Holtz, I think it's called Wallflower pad, has these little cutter parts at the back, which are the perfect size. So I cut two matching ones, but I'm going to use the front and the back as my covers. And I think that they look really cute. These little things will go inside to hold the needles. And then I have some scraps of paper to decorate the front if I want to. And then I stamped out a little label that says needles, but I lost it, so I'm going to use my backup, which wasn't as nice. Chances are I'm going to find that label as soon as I'm done this video. So there's that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold my book inside out so I can place my needle holders. That's where I'm going to put the needles in. And I'm doing this so that I don't have to measure. I mean, it's just a needle book for my usage, so it doesn't have to be perfect, right? If you want perfect, I guess watch some HGTV. This is going to just be me fumbling around trying to make something useful. So now that I have that sort of quote unquote measured, I'm going to use some glue. Um, I don't have any fabric glue, so I have this glue from the Dollar Tree, which is really good, and I have Nuvo glue, which is also really good. So um, we can try that. Usually I use it, and there you go. I don't have that. Was not working for me today, so that's okay though, because I have backup glue. We should always have some backup glue, and I'll figure out how to fix that later. So I'm going back to this, I guess, silicone glue from the Dollar Tree. It's really good. It sticks to everything. Um, but you get these little strings like on a glue gun, which is annoying, but manageable. So I'm going to glue this down, not with too much glue because I'm going to sew it. Um, I am not a great sewer. My friend Amy is a great sewer. She has a channel called Your Sewing Teacher, and she's also my sewing teacher. So you should go and check her out if you're interested in learning how to sew all sorts of things. She does clothes and bags and hats. But today what we're doing is a little book. It's not too much sewing, so hopefully it's going to work out just fine. And so I'm gluing down the little pieces that are going to hold my needles. Hopefully they're somewhat centered and ready to go. So the good thing is this glue doesn't go through the felt and it dries pretty quickly. So I got my insides done. Now I'm going to go and sew it. Oh, you can see my light in the corner there. Sorry about that. I didn't notice that at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the glue dry and then go and sew it. And we're back, and we're back with an absurd amount of loose threads. So I'm going to speed through while I cut all of this off and repeatedly get the extra threads stuck to the outside of my book anyways. And also you can watch me try to decide on a button. Lots going on there. So I decided on that button, and now I have this white elastic. I have an excess amount of white elastic from creating masks during the pandemic quarantine thing. I made a lot of masks, so I have all this extra cord that I thought would be good to create a little toggle for my button so that I can keep my needle book closed so that I don't accidentally stab myself because that's the worst. So I'm going to take that cord and I have my little button here, which I'm not sold on. Spoiler, I might change that. And I'm going to glue down my little holder, which should be done before you put your cover on, but then the button comes on after, and you'll see why afterwards. So I'm going to just tack my cords down with a little bit of that super strong glue, which I am running out of. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the covers. So I did this in real time so that you can see what I'm working on, because if you want to know how to put it together, this is pretty much the crux of it. So I have my strings. I'm not worried about them being held too much because I'm going to be sewing around the booklet. So because that is the back side, I'm going to use my back cover here. And then I'm going to use my front cover on the right hand side. And I'm just going to glue those down to hold on to my little string there. I couldn't decide if I wanted the bird and the flowers on both sides because it's just so pretty. But I ended up going with something a little plain on the back, which in retrospect was a good idea because now I know which is the front and which is the back. So I'm using, it looks like a lot of glue, but it's not. I'm just sort of scraping what I have left across there, and I'm just going to stick it down to the felt. I don't need it to hold very strongly because I am going to be sewing it, but I do need it to hold, the string and everything together while I'm trying to sew it. Think I'm going to get fancy with the zigzag stitch, so I absolutely need the help holding that paper down. So then I'm going to use my front cover to cover up those stitches that you see for the inside, which I think will be really cute. Okay, so I still have all those strings all over the place, so it's me fighting with my glue. I'm going to glue this down for the front cover, and I don't need to do anything with my button yet because I'm going to sew my button on just so that it's strong. And because it has to go through fabric, it's not going to rip through the paper, so I think that that's going to work really fine. Standard glue struggle, and I'm just going to glue it on there. A lot of glue this time. And these voiceovers always feel like I'm criticizing myself, but I'm not. I learn a lot from watching my crafts go back. And so I think that is so cute. Okay, so cute. And we're just going to make sure that that glue is set just a little bit because I want it to be dry because I don't want to use it on my sewing machine if it's wet because that is the worst thing. If you get glue on your needles, it can really gunk up your machine. So don't do that. And don't ask me how I know that. Well, you can ask me. I did it once and I broke my old machine. So don't do that. Learn from my mistakes. So after I have this set enough, I'm going to go back to the sewing machine and you'll see it when it's done. And now we have it all sewn up, not the straightest, and my button indecision continues. And I found these cute ones, and I really love them, but they have shanks on them, and they won't sit flat because of those shanks. So shanks a lot, buttons. Yeah, I just said that. Anyways, so I'm not going to use those ones. I'm going to use either this wooden one I found, which is super cute and goes with the natural thing, or this little metal one, which is also super cute, or this clear one, which is boring. So I'm not going with that. But I also found this cute little needle like embellishment, which is adorable and perfect. So we're going to use that somehow too. Um, I think I like the wooden one the best. Let me know which one you would have chosen in the comments, because I can still change it. And so I'm going to hand sew the button on, um, just because that's how you put buttons on. And I'm not going to film that because that would be super boring. So I'll see you when I have it finished. And it's all done. The magic of YouTube, you didn't have to sit there and watch me struggle to sew on a button. I really need practice at that. But now I have my little closure and I can take my absurd number of humongous needles that I use for all sorts of different crafts and we can put them in. So I sped this way up because nobody wants to see or count how many needles I have, but I use them for a lot of different crafts like bookbinding, and I weave with pine needles and I do embroidery, so having all those needles makes sense. So now they're all in my little book and they look cute, and the book closes and it is cute, and I am pretty happy with all my choices. But now I gotta figure out how to decorate it, which is the best part. So I have some matching papers that I found in just like my scraps. I keep a lot of my scraps because I don't like to be a wasteful person. And I stamped out the word needles just so that you know what this book is for. And we're going to just do the little label. I'm thinking that I want to mat it with some paper. And so that is what I'm trying to decide right now. Um, so I know that I'm going to use this craft cardstock as my little label. Like I said, I lost the good one. I know I'm going to find it as soon as I finish this book. So I'm just going to cut it out. I don't need it to be perfect. I kind of want it to be a little wonky. And then I'm going to mat it. And I really think I want to use this corrugated piece of paper for matting it. I think that that would look cute. Um, and so I'm going to use my trusty dollar store glue, which is so good for gluing on things with texture. Um, so I hope I can find it again. Um, if you know where I can find that cool glue, let me know. And so I really want to use this little needle. And so I'm trying to decide if I want it with the mat. Do I want it just on the book? Do I want to impale that bird on it? I don't know. So I think I'm just gonna play it by ear. And right about now, I'm thinking about how I should have probably planned this project out better. But that's okay, because that's part of the adventure, right? And so I decided to go with that corrugated paper, and I'm so happy I did. It looks so good, with just that little bit of texture behind it. And it goes with the sort of vintage um, vibe that I'm going for with the book. I'm not really into shabby chic, but I kind of like vintage. So, you know, you can figure out how those work separate of each other. Um, and so that looks really cute. Oh, I love it. I love it. And then trying to figure out how to use this needle because this needle needs to be used on my needles book. Um, it was the most serendipitous find. So um, I think I'm just going to use it to highlight my little label there. And, um, give me a second, I'll figure it out. And then I'm going to start gluing things on. The thing that I like about this glue is that it dries pretty quickly, but it still gives you time to like move things around even as it's setting. Um, so I like to use it a lot, and I should have bought more than one. But I was trying to be responsible and not buy too many things. So I'm just going to put my little needles on the front and hope that it's straight because I'm looking through my camera. And then my battery died. So you missed me fiddling with everything, but I mean, that's okay. So I put my little label on and then I glued the little needle underneath it. And then that's it. And I'll have some nice close-up pictures right after this so that you can see what it looks like. I think it's going to hold up very nicely. It holds a lot of needles in it. I'm sure I can swap it out with pins and other things that I need. But I might make another one because I just think that this is supremely handy to have. And I hope that you try it too. Um, like I said, check out Nick the Booksmith's tutorial. It's really good. I did this from memory, and that's how easy this project was. So you should go over and say hi to her and have a look at these nice photos of my needle book. And I hope to see you again in another video.